Hey guys, it's Will. So every single stock in the quantum AI space on our StockMate watch list is up an average of about 15%. Guys, these are the stocks we've been covering the past week. You really should consider at least taking a look at some of these quantum computing AI stocks, how they're working with Amazon, Microsoft, and some of the biggest companies are investing in them, like Nvidia. I want you guys to see these 8 stocks here that we're slowly growing this list of our top quantum stocks. And in this list, we covered Rigetti yesterday. We said, hey, this has room to push up. And when we looked at it, we didn't take what every single other person is saying about Rigetti stock. See, every single other person is saying, oh, it's overextended. Look how it dropped right here in December, and it's going to drop back down. Look at that trend. But yesterday, when it was right here, we said, this isn't actually true. It's going to continue up because this was an artificial drop from Jerome Powell. So I'm not saying that we're 100% accurate or anything like that, but look at that. That's the true trend. This is actually some artificial movement, and we said in that case we could continue up. And look at that, it's already at near $15 a share at one point today. It's up 30% on the day. But the stock I want to go into today is actually called KULR, and it is a stock that's not necessarily in quantum computing. It's actually more in the aerospace, it's in the AI space and the robotic space, but it's in the aerospace, it's in the robotic space. And if we look at it today, we take a look at really what's happening with KULR stock. It's showing signs of, let me get the right chart. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Okay. It's showing signs that it is absolutely exploding 29%. And it bounced at this EMA, this SMA, and it not only is continuing up, we're getting into the news of kind of why and what this looks like, but it is showing signs of not really slowing down. Now, it could absolutely pull back if we look at the technicals and what it looks like for the near term. We could see, here's that support. If we kind of map out what is this resistance, so we can kind of take a look there, what that looks like. And you look at it, RSI, MACD looking massively overextended over the past few months. Looks like, wow, that's crazy. Could see it sell back down. But when we look at KULR outside of the technicals, let's take a look at why it's pushing up, what we see outside of the technicals, because I think that this point, guys, it just looks super overextended. It's like, and you could say that yesterday. Look at the RSI and the MACD, even on the 24th before Christmas, you could see that it was like already looking overextended. And that's what happens. And when we break down stocks like this, just because it's a high price doesn't mean it's not going to continue up. And a lot of people say, well, you're looking at low prices. Just because low price doesn't mean that it's going to go up. Also, just because it's a high price doesn't mean that it's not going to keep going up. And so KULR, this stock, is they've been working with the Department of Defense. They've been working with Navy. They got an Army contract. And they work with ParaZero, which is more or less like drones. And they also are working with SpaceX on actually building out battery systems for the Starlink satellites that are in space. So, this is a company that's kind of all over the place. They don't have a ton of employees. Their market cap is small, under $1 billion. And then if you look at kind of the history of the stock, last time it was around $4 in 2021, and it's been trending up and down between that $4 price point and down to at one point what was around 13 cents a share. And so now we see it up here. Now, before I get into all those amazing news catalysts, right, there was two things I want to talk about. The first is their financials and how they look. The second is this right here, Bitcoin. I actually want to go into it first. Let's go into Bitcoin first. What are they doing with Bitcoin? This is something that's really interesting. So you guys might have seen US companies are saying, if I am buying US dollars or holding US dollars after I make a sale or after we make this cash as a company, our US dollars are depreciating. So what are they doing? Well, they're going to a currency that appreciates and that in many cases, even according to just recently in the past month, the federal government actually acknowledging it as a store of value and what could be seen as digital gold, they're going to Bitcoin. And so KULR, we see this with MicroStrategy, you see this with Tesla stock, you see this with now what is KULR, where they're taking their cash on hand, their extra cash, and they're buying Bitcoin. So they had an extra $21 million cash here. And they said, rather than holding onto this cash and seeing it go down 5% a year over the next few years, hey, let's actually invest this back into Bitcoin and let's have a Bitcoin treasury. So that's exactly what this stock is doing. And not only is this cool, but I really, 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 really want to see that I can share with you guys some companies that they don't even have a stock. They have their own cryptocurrency. Because when you go that route, now they can invest back into not just Bitcoin, but that their company is fully on the blockchain. And I think that will be total adoption. We're not there yet. There's a lot of SEC scrutiny. There's only a few companies that truly have their own tokens. You could look at Telegram or TON token as one of them. But let's take a look here. So KULR Technology Group announced that it's completed a purchase of 217 Bitcoin, approximately $21 million on average price of $96,500 per Bitcoin. The purchase follows the company's announcement on December 4th of its Bitcoin treasury strategy. So it's allocating up to 90%. We're not talking about, oh, okay, we're going to invest a little bit of our cash into Bitcoin. No, 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 no. This is a company that's leading the way in battery technology. They are building out thermal composites, carbon fiber materials that can withstand space and extreme temperatures. They're even in the drone. I mean, this is a company working with SpaceX. They're saying we're allocating up to 90% of our money of our excess cash, our surplus cash into Bitcoin. 90%. They're actually going almost maximalist outlook for Bitcoin. So that's how confident they are that they would like to put their money, rather than putting in the US dollar, they'd like to see it appreciate. What is that, 40 or 50% or 100% year over year? That's absolutely tremendous. That's a tremendous move that they just recently made. So, keep it in mind. It's not a massive amount. It's 21 million. We're talking about, 217 Bitcoin. But, it's still a test to them as a small company under $1 billion market cap to say, yeah, 90% of our surplus cash goes into Bitcoin. That's pretty cool. So keep that in mind with KULR stock. That's a really great move that personally I think is awesome. I mean, I'm like that as well. That's how I see a lot of my cash as well. So I love it. Outside of the Bitcoin, there's also the actual how things are looking, right? And how much cash actually is that? And let's take a look. So year over year, their growth looks great. And I don't mean like amazing, but I mean like good. You can see year over year revenue is up 5%. Net income's up 63%. Their net profit margins went up 65% year over year. And I like to look at year over year. I think it's important. Quarter over quarter, they're down a little bit on a lot of these. And their net income on the quarter was negative 2 million, which isn't too bad when you consider that they are building technology rather than building a business model. They're building technology and they're putting it into businesses, and that will be their business model, but it's dependent on them making these technological innovations, which they are. So I think that number is going to catch up. Now, when we look at the earnings, they missed a lot back in 2023 and into 2024. They missed by 100%, or they missed by 61% revenue. So those weren't too good of numbers. But now in 2024, they beat their earnings by 50%. The revenue's up 32% in that quarter of what was expected. Okay, so they're beating expectations, growing faster than expected. So those two things, the Bitcoin and I don't want to say terrible, but not perfect financials, but looking better. And keyword looking better is what we'd like to see in their growth. So again, $4.50. So they pushed up from what was just yesterday, or I guess day before Christmas, they were at $2.60. Guys, their stock has gone up to $4.50. That's an 88% increase from where they were at right before Christmas. Now, that's a massive gain. And as we know, what goes up can come down. Doesn't necessarily mean it will. But just kind of looking on this shorter term trend line here, I mean, it does look overextended on the technicals. So yeah, you have to really consider that. So overextension could potentially see it sell off. If we don't include that kind of Fed rate drop there, now we're seeing the potential here. See that trend is looking more consistent. It sold back down a little bit. So, now it's right here. We could see it sell back down a little bit, maybe just to the EMA. Maybe it only sells here, or it could sell all the way down to 379, which would be that previous resistance to continue bulling up. If it does get down to even in this 340 range, it wouldn't be or even down to 330, it wouldn't be anything to really worry about because those are previous resistances. That's a consolidation area. So that's most likely, if it did pull back here, where it would bounce. Now, it could continue up as we're talking about such a small stock, under $1 billion. But most likely, the probability here is, you look on the RSI, look on the MACD, how overextended it is, kind of like it was back here, that we would see it sell back down if it has a healthy, consistent uptrend that it's been developing. That's what it would look like. So yeah, probably down to 370, potentially more. And then if it broke below that level of $3, then that would be reason for a little bit of concern. We could potentially see it fall. So those are kind of levels we're looking at, and that's the technical analysis that we play into. So I'd like to see it sell off. Most likely we'll buy in at market open. That's what we did today with Ionic stock. You guys could see here, right here at market open, which I accidentally had the live session here on YouTube for the first few minutes. Some of you guys saw that. But in StockMates, we wrapped it up. I basically bought this dip at market open. You can see right here. Right here, sorry. And that's where I purchased, and it pushed up from, what was that, $43 price point up to $47. So we're up about $800 here on Ionic stock. So you might say, why IONQ? Why that stock? Well, if I go to Amazon or I go to Microsoft right now and I try and get GPUs or cloud computing to run my AI language models or something like that, they have two companies that I see, or 2 or 3 companies that are quantum computing companies, that they allow for you to use their QPUs, their quantum computing process, or quantum processing units. And so that's a really big feat, right? You see Rigetti there, and you see IONQ there. So Rigetti up 28%. That's the stock that NVIDIA is investing in. IONQ up 6%. So we got to, take those things into consideration. I saw that as a good opportunity to buy. It was down here at the support. Not only did it drop right at pre-market, but we also saw it bounce at this previous resistance, which indicates forward, upward, right, momentum. So that's why we buy in today. Now, guys, I want to share something with you. We're done here. We'll see if the opportunity presents itself tomorrow in our live trading session. And I'd love to see you guys there if you want to join me in the session. You can join in that second link in the description down below. Now, here's the deal. I'm introducing something. If AMD stock hits the price point of $160 by March 20th, you'll get a free full refund on StockMate. Again, you'll pay nothing for StockMate if AMD hits $160 by March 20th. That's the current sale we have going on, and it will be ending early next year. So you only have a few days left. The second link down below for this awesome offer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate your time, and let's go create some freedom. Take care.